Okay. Hi, everybody. I'll just keep letting people in, but we are chock full this evening, so I'd like to start. And you know, the whole wonderful thing about gathering tonight truly was well, it's selfish. I was missing everybody's faces. And you know, the holiday was approaching, and I thought, oh, darlings, we've got to do something festive and gay and queer and wonderful. So normally at KFB, we would meet for the Festival of Lights for the solstice, and that wasn't able to happen this year in Kensington. So so I thought, let's do a little holiday queer. And thank you to everyone who's responded in kind. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful, and I know that you know that. So thanks for this wonderful collective and gathering tonight. And I hope, have you seen the moon? Have you been able to, have you see the gorgeous moon tonight? Yeah. It's almost as beautiful as your faces. This is the truth. I wanted to start with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land that we're meeting on here in Toronto is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Very blessed to be on this land and with you tonight. We're all over tonight. We've got people from California and Buffalo and Vancouver and Calgary and Fredericton and Toronto and Montreal and Halifax, and I'm sure I missed a few. I know that John Elizabeth's in the middle of some cold, god-awful place, but I'm glad you're all here. We're starting off one of the most celebrated debuts of this year, talked about, sought after, most read collections of the year has been Mythical Man from the one and only David Lee. Would you please join me in welcoming David Lee?
Hi, Kirby.
Hello,
and everyone. Okay. Everyone gonna hear me okay? Thank you for having me. I'll read 2 poems from the collection and then we'll do something new. Okay. This one's called Disco the Pug is Mine. Disco the Pug is mine. I haven't adopted him yet, but he's mine. Other things can be yours, the lava lamp, the shake weight, the room where you write, but Disco can wander in whenever he feels like it. You can't write poems about Disco, just don't. You won't appreciate your words concerning his buggy eyes, how you liken them to the cartoon that traumatized you when you were a child. If the lava lamp spooks him, then we'll have to donate it. When you use the shake weight and it agitates Disco, because it obviously will, then take a step back and reconsider where your priorities are in this relationship. Your arms aren't getting any bigger. And you know we'll have to get Disco a stick. If we snap your old lacrosse stick, that could work. Don't give me that. You know I didn't agree to our first date because you're a great lacrosse player. You know I hate sports. But Disco needs to run, needs exercise, needs to chase something, needs you to need me and what I need, needs you to stop running after a different version of what I'm offering here. His second poem is called Boy. Surrounded by white wolves, I plunge a hand into the alpha's mouth and rip out its tongue. The rest scatter in whimpers. It's not long before I begin to tear at myself from fear of what I'm becoming, crawl into the forest to hide under a blanket of shimmering silver moths. I'll read a new one here for you guys. It's called Sleep Well, Doubt. 10 milligrams of melatonin popped after nothing promising, written all day, tossing and turning over what makes a poem when nothing's found in missing Jupiter and Saturn's great conjunction on account of a cloudy sky, or how it's been impossible to see beyond the recurring image of a boy under a blanket of shimmering silver moths for the last 4 years. A firmer grasp has formed around writing poetry, but ideas of why poems are poems slip further away as if they were never understood, still difficult to comprehend, disappearing like pills dissolving under a tongue. That's it for you guys tonight.
Thank you so much, David. Wonderful. Thanks for joining us. One of my favorite collections of this year, and it was part of KFB Selects, is Anik Mccaskill's Murmurations. Such a gorgeously stunning, beautiful book. And please join us in welcoming Anik Mccaskill.
Thank you, Kirby. Thanks for hosting tonight. Thanks for organizing this. David, I loved your reading, and I'm really looking forward, of course, to everyone else. I want to take just a second to acknowledge that I live in what's now called Halifax, Nova Scotia, but before that it was called Chibuktuk, which is a Mi'kmaq word, and this is part of Mi'kma'ki, the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. I'm a white settler living here, and I'm of French and Scottish ancestry. I'll read a couple poems from Murmurations. There are no Christmas poems in Murmurations, strictly speaking, but there are a lot of winter poems, so I thought I'd go with 2 of those. I love winter. It's nice to be here with you all. Banff. Clouds trip over mountains, lend shadows to our hands, ungloved. 4 small blessings for November, yours larger than mine, though not greater, you say, skirting the path, pointing the way back to the gallery. I say brother, but that's not what I mean. I say friend. Though more than oil painting or sculpture, I'd like to know the weight of you. Hold it between my teeth or under my tongue. A secret, like the white ermine in the snow. Yarmouth County. A simple house, its windows elevated over Chibougue Point, the blonde panels rendered still paler in whitewash. Ducks drift in the river to where it cedes to marsh grasses, threaded through winter's last snow. And the geese rinse their necks, 4 base clefts dip beneath the sky's grayed mirror, emerge flickering with water and sunbeam, their new home temporary, though not without heft. Today the clouds will change color with every passing hour. Today the shower's fog will clutch at the bathroom glass, softening the reflection of our faces, while the flock's broke gasp vibrates through the windows, dampened but constant. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Anik. You know, one of my favorite events prior to the to the shutdown, the lockdown, was the launch of NOLAN NATASHA's wonderful debut, I Can Hear You, Can You Hear Me? And please join me in welcoming NOLAN NATASHA.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. This is I was so excited when I heard about it. I was so excited to be a part of it. So thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for coming. I'm going to read one poem from my book, and then I'm going to read the newest poem, which always feels a bit scary. But so this is from I Can Hear You, Can You Hear Me? And it's about Anik, long before I imagined that we'd ever be living in a house during a pandemic together. It's called Divining. Just when you think you know the color of the sky, you see the way that it talks to the mountain. And then there are more shades of gray and blue in the windshield than stones in the sea, and you realize you know nothing. That knowing is nothing. that naming the colors is good craft, but futile because you can't even say what you feel. And you can touch the gear shift, but not her leg. So you look at the colors and say, wow, look at that. Isn't that something else? And she tries to name the colors too and does much better than you, but because you aren't listening as hard as you're breathing, you won't remember what she said. But you will still see the colors and you will still feel your hand that is not on her leg. And now I'll read a new one. It's called The Moon's Long Memory. And I chose it because it takes place in December in New York, which feels, you know, Christmassy. Excuse me, sorry. The Moon's Long Memory. In the American Museum of Natural History, a meteorite as old as the sun, 34 tons of iron, the largest on display anywhere. Anahitu, transported here from Greenland, named after a 4-year-old's daughter's exclamations at the sight of it. You and I circle, wondering if we can touch it. Without knowing we were once married, the museum guide sees our longing, steps forward, lays her hand on its rough shoulder, demonstrating what is permitted. Says, the most remarkable thing is how it came to be here. Tells us facts. I forget the details, except that the bedrock under the streets of Manhattan is what supports the weight of it. I struggle to understand the weight of it, but it's clear we both love it. Like the dioramas down the hall, taxidermy tableaus in painted landscapes, mid-century fonts announcing scenes from a lake and an October afternoon. Outside in New York, a rainy, almost Christmas. On the couch this morning, I cried for a moment because it seemed you didn't understand, and then just as fast it seemed you did. The important parts anyway, how we came to be here. Next to the meteorite, a panel about the moon. Impacts, dusty flesh covered in scars, its plain truth, inability to hide under fallen leaves, October afternoons, rivers, only gray impressions of everything, every event. Collisions of rock and Apollo's footprints, how we came to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nolan. One of the coolest, sweetest queers I've met in a long time. Matthew Walsh, the author of These Are Not the Potatoes of My Youth. And if you know me, there's 2 things to live on: good sex and potatoes. Please welcome Matthew Walsh.
Hello? Hello?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you lovely. We hear you well, doll.
Okay, cool. Well, guess what? My video is not working. Okay.
We'll simply listen, love.
Okay. So this poem is called, I'm reading 2 new ones, and the first one's called Do Not Touch the Notebooks. I don't let men get too close to me. Up close, I feel they will see my secrets and mysteries. That, like my mother, I too grow out the silky black hair that resonate on the bulb of my nose. That my mustache is the immaculate combed nose hairs that I can't keep in control. During the Olympics, I would not go down on a man who I promised to burn into the great Canadian literary landscape. Men think they are doing you favors when there is an invite into their bed, or you are given the beers they failed themselves to remove from the fridge, or meant to offer in trade for head. But this is the Olympics. I have not won a medal for sucking dick. When he invited me to his house, I kept one leg drawn on the floor to watch men's diving. I loved the part when they disappear. Men told me I have eyes so beautiful they tell stories. They are simple, brown, deep pond sediment, and of course, some history. If I hook up, I reply, text me to let me know to text you. I pray only so not to notice how sharp it is, my widow speak, how far for me on the bed it is a simile for a diving board where I would like to split the water. Men say I need to figure out my beard, but mine is a face hider, and I want to be luscious for me. This is my body. Lavender, lilac, potpourri. I leave shirts on during sex as a safety mechanism. I have a scar someone once licked. I hated it. He wanted to know why I had so many naked notebooks. I said I wrote, please don't touch the notebooks. I'm growing them out. So that was the first one. And this one, and this new one, I just wrote this one and I was very stoned, but I'm gonna read it anyway. It's called Stoner. It sucks that everything has a structure. It makes me want to slide right off my bones, especially when it is of a nature, hierarchical tier, or a pyramid scheme. Despite the Tupperware of my galley kitchen, red-orange as nacho dust. I view the clearing where the gentle swing set innocently appears as a device of torture. I think as well the pendulum, Libra emoji, and justice, and the pendulum for thoughts, also expire despite the brief manifestations inside the dreamy cauliflower of our skulls. As the brain's out, they communicate us as the frontal lobe. Two words begging to be whispered based on just the sound alone. And maybe dreams and thoughts are our bioluminescence, so no need to be jealous any longer of the items or nouns I believe a Matthew may not deserve. And help me, someone told me we blush red for the simple reason it is a biological trait left over from our lizard ancestors. But stars are red, and when we decide they reach the end of, I suppose, their usefulness, for a better word, in the night sky, a star created way before lizards, so maybe it is starlight inherently a part of us, and perhaps what really beats the heart can all but be tied back to the first star that said hello to Galileo when the gossip started about seven connect the dot figures in the night sky. Take me to your darkest playground, a clear night to point at maybe the Big Dipper. It might be that I have listened to the typical beautiful voice of a Karen Dalton chorus, and that I am wearing a hoodie of a capitalist sweetheart, Mickey Mouse. Making a bolognese from the internet, blitzing a mirepoix in a processor, no doubt from the Amazon website, because I'm a hypocrite whose first encounter with panopticons was the egg sac of a frog. The end. I love how I could not hear any of you. No, I don't.
Oh, Matthew, that was
Turn on the microphone if you want.
Thank you so much.
I don't know how to use technology.
It's all good. It's all good. Thank you. And thank you for the segue, because actually our first special guest, who's the poet laureate of Fredericton, and a dear friend, Jennalyn Albert, is joining us. And Jenna has rescued more than one of my nights, I can assure you. And one of the delightful things that happened at Poetry Weekend was Jennalyn became my poetry diva. Please welcome Jennalyn Albert.
Thank you so much, Kirby, for arranging this beautiful evening. I'm calling in from Fredericton, which is on the traditional and unceded territory of the Wolastoqiyik. And I'll be reading a quick poem that I wrote when my first collection came out. I wasn't out as bi yet, and I should have figured when I was writing this poem, it should have been a big red flag, big signal. How didn't I know? When I came out, my family all was unsurprised. And just for context, aboiteau is French for dikes, and I'll be reading a Acadian poem. Dike denoted. Dad called us dikes once, all in good fun, of course. Coming down to the basement, he found the two of us vinous, full of raspberry wine, arms entwined on the Chesterfield. I see how he mistook my bosom friend for Moore, but it's all cordial, all heteronormal. Acadians erected aboiteaux to drain the salt marshes of Grand Pré. Levees and tie gates so fertile farmland could flourish, our own Themyscira without the luxury of matriarchy. I am the site of Le Grand Dérangement. I am an anglicisme. I am Dykeland. And my next poem, as Kirby mentioned, I'm just finishing out my laureateship in Fredericton and get in trouble often, and I'm still getting in trouble as I'm concluding my laureateship. In particular for reading poems in support of reproductive services in the city. Clinic 554 is Fredericton and one of Atlantic Canada's only out-of-hospital abortion clinics, and a center of excellence for LGBTQIA2S+ healthcare. And they've recently had to shut down because the New Brunswick government has refused to fund them. So this poem was written in response to some of the city councillors feeling like poetry about reproductive rights and LGBTQIA2S+ healthcare did not belong at city council. And it's called Laurels. And it starts off with an epigraph by Denise Smith. Every poem is political. The river nymph Daphne escaped Apollo's grasp by shape-shifting into a laurel tree. Her defiance made corporeal as her fingers turned to foliage and her heels took root in the earth, standing her ground. Those of us who bear her crown know its weight, choose our words with the care of a physician, bedside manner coming second to our duties as soothsayer, storyteller, legislator. Poets have the power to tear down statues and amend statutes, the range to flatter their patrons with purple prose and take them to task in the same breath. The ability to conjure memories unseen and voices unspoken. We grant charms of good governance, hold our leaders accountable in the same way we do ourselves, with the knowledge that we are not perfect, but all have the potential for growth. We know discomfort, document it best we can. A word for every preventable death due to the pandemic, systemic racism, homophobia, lack of abortion access. We don't write poetry to be cute or clever, finding value in the flower for what we can do with its seeds. Those who need to hear it won't always listen, but poets will continue to speak the ethos of our communities into being, our laurels evergreen, and legacies a living inheritance for future generations. And for us, that's enough. Thank you very much. And what you couldn't see as I was reading that poem is it had a lot of references to former poet laureates and Conyer Clayton's poem that caused a lot of controversy at that city council meeting. So shout out to Connie and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Jennalyn. I'm so appreciative of all that you do. You know, it's a sweet thing when you post an event and then you hear from Erin Mori, this sounds like a cool event. And Erin, I'm just so delighted that you've joined us. What a sweet thing. This Radiant Life is one of my absolute favorite things that it's on my desk, let's put it that way. It's stunning, gorgeous. You already know that. Please welcome ERYN Mori.
Thanks, Kirby. Thanks for inviting me to be with this marvelous group of people. Certainly making my evening. And so I'm really happy to be here. I'm in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal, the traditional and unceded land of the Kanien'kehá:ka people, of course. And I'm going to read some poems from new work, and I'd call it new work. I don't know if it's what it's worth. They're short poems. This one I wrote in July upon hearing that the Earls were talking to themselves in Harper's Magazine. I don't know if you remember, look up 7th of July, Harper's Magazine, where the kind of conventional literati decide that they're going to howl about their version of what justice is. Anyways, upon hearing that the Earls are talking to themselves in Harper's Magazine, and to me, Earls are I call them the Earls because the Earls are the low rung of nobility who argue to maintain their privileges in the face of the other people they call the churls. So this is just called Grow. I went through the jungles. Earls ate my hair, ate my hands. Sparrows saved me. Only the sparrows came clean. There were sediments, not sentiments. I was handless and hairless, a grub or hatchling. Under the conditions, which were their conditions, which were Earl conditions, could I grow arms? Could I grow tresses? Or could I dream on under sparrow conditions, grow feathers, grow wings? And then this is, sometimes I write poems that are extremely short, especially at night, if I try it. So this one's called 3:19 a.m. Artifice, marry me now. Shut up, dear. And this one's called 8 a.m. Sometimes the poem so short to say more, no image. And I was going to read, just in honor of people who have to live in retirement homes in this era and before it. My dad lived in one. Fortunately, he passed away in 2013, so he doesn't have to live through any of the disgraces going on today. But one of the things I inherited was his writings and correspondence. And since he wanted to write this book with me, although he didn't survive long enough to, he had dementia, but I thought we could write a book together. Anyways, most of this poem is from a letter of his that I found in his files. Roar. At stall speed, this shut word terrifies. A wall goes up in frames. Physically uncertain at the distal midgens of the Roddy. Ache Tuesday, ache Wednesday. Thursday up for breakfast, waited an hour for coffee. By that dining room clock, its needles always wrong. Yes, it is me who called bullshit in the dining room out loud. The waiter reported me. I am called on the carpetet. The manager of Old Beings said I swore. I said I spoke no name of any god. I said I spoke a common barnyard syllable. Yes, it was out loud. And damn it, I waited too long for my coffee. A client should be treated better, not taken into custody on this very carpetet. And I stand by my roar. Signed, Bill, Riverbend, Retirement Living by Rivera, Edmonton, Alberta. Thanks, everybody.
ERYN, thank you so much. Just so you know, everybody who's attending this evening, we've got some invitation crab for you. This is Hamish Ballantyne's wonderful chapbook, Invitation Crab, and everybody attending tonight is going to get a free copy. So you make certain you either DM me or write to me at kirby@knifeworkbook@gmail.com, or just DM me on one of our social medias, or take a little shot of a screenshot and post it. I'll make certain that you get a copy of it and get some yummy invitation crab, okay? Speaking of imitation crab, darling, Jake BYRNE, one of my absolute all-time favorite people on the face of the earth. Thank God for your presence on social media. Thank God for being in my orbit. Please welcome Jake BYRNE.
Baby, I'm the real stuff. Imitation crabs. I have two poems. They're new. I don't know. I can only read one of them. I only have enough time for one. So I would like some audience participation. You have a choice between chloris and assets now in play. I will take the first answer I hear.
Chloris.
Chloris, it's chloris.
All right. Chloris. I find this kind of cheery, folksy music sinister. Joys in another's loss of ease. To rejoice, fell citadel, prison of north, chloris is a hue of wind. Hyperboreus another. The pale nursemaid and her rosy cheeks, apple blossom and hibiscus. It is now that I entreat you to lay a petal on my body, rings of scaly, reddened flesh, a tune written in the noblest era, a suit flushed in a noble mood. Hand in hand, year in year, it is eternal winter there and here. Hi-hat sound, now sit with your pain. In disguise from whom? Who passes in the night wearing sackclothes? Feel it cold, moving through, let it sing. On a winter blue jay's wing, Kagan Gerda, mirror spun, pull the wings off another one. Who goes there? What appeal? Rip the gristle from the joint. In the night, a collapse in the prosody, or a stented aorta. Pick bloody feathers off the claw. Killed John Ritter on set in front of his teenage daughter. From what cold spring of fresh water, clear, pure, true, underground lake, sparkling did that thought arise? I heart oil, heart pure gun. Freya, parentheses, Age of Mythology deity. This article is about Freya, the deity depicted in Intellius Software's 2003 video game, Age of Mythology. For other uses of the word Freya, please click here. Below, undermined, gem cavern, crystals resonate quietly. So quietly, I could hear them only in the beating heart of my gentle boyfriend, whom I love dearly. But 10 years is a long time, you know? Every day I wake up, contrive various ways to dull or distract from the negative feelings that come flowing out into the gemstone caverns, chloric bioluminescent dream, a miasma corrupting this precious lake. Every day I wake up and I have to remind myself to choose love. And that frightens me. That frightens me indeed. Thank you.
Thanks so much, love. And you're absolutely right. Only the real crab, darling. King Claus, baby. We're gonna have our second surprise guest tonight. One of my favorite things that we put out this year at KFB has been their queer tenderness. It is just a thing of beauty. And here to read from it now is Neil SURKAN.
I've never special guested anything in my life. So thanks for having me. It feels good. I'm just going to read one little poem. Yeah, it's dedicated to David Lee. I don't know if David's still here because David gave me some great edits on it. So it's called Desire Path. Whereas the city's gravel trail snakes from side to side, nooked with oversized benches that stick, layered stain, on spectral swastikas and heart-trapped names. This path cuts straight through the wiry grass. Yet, as is often the case with desire, it swerved suddenly and got shy. Standing now in this stand of ruddy, felt-tipped branches, parsing scrub as it wildly parts and reparts its hair, I think how, to get here, someone had to veer off, followed by many others, and then all had to turn back, unless a few met face to face, and this became a meeting place. Thanks for listening.
Oh my God, I love that piece so much. It transports me to to a few old haunts. Thank you so much, Neil. Sarah SGRO and I had the most incredible pleasure of meeting one another at a reading at the Rust Belt Books in Buffalo, and I've never forgotten it. And I've tried to get her up to Toronto several times, but guess what? She's here now. Please welcome Sarah SGRO.
Thank you so much for having me, Kirby. It's been sort of a weird past hour. My bathroom flooded, I shattered a small mirror, and there's like a full moon. So I'm hoping that, you know, this gathering will be a better omen on the tail end of all of those weird happenings. So thank you so much, and it's been great to hear everyone read. I'm gonna read two poems tonight. The first one is called Filth is Not a Metaphor. Filth is not a metaphor. It's a haunting. It's a dark and stinking car. It's my underwear is stapled to the wall. Yes, this is transactional encounter. It's transaction of the ampersand. My trash can is an archive which remembers every transaction. Brown bags mean exchange, except when I'm displeased, they mean return. A sweatshirt is responsible attire for the winter and a metaphor for I belong to you. To transaction is a bad behavior. Every filth is resurrected. Archive is a haunting, such as corkboard with my shriveled briefs affixed. In the restaurant, I fill my water glass by swiveling behind me. That is very healthy, says a woman reading. What I mean by healthy is convenient. This sounds like a metaphor, but all transactions in this poem happened. I am striving to be literal. My body is a stretched material. Metaphors leave room for ghosts, and I am on the hunt. The sweatshirt smells fresh, but I wanted it gone. The dark and stinking car resolves its filth at Delta Sonic Car Wash. I belong to all my ghosts, but property is not a metaphor, and nor is hunt. My attachment style is a water metaphor. A wave is curling water or an open hand. If I am filth, ideally I will haunt. If I am shriveled by a fixed, it will be brief. A metaphor is a disturbance on the surface of a liquid body breaking on the shore. And the next one is, and the last one is called Certain Breaks, Certain Collisions. Pleasure is this question I don't bother asking of decay. Theorize an internal split, cleavage which does not invite your hands. Poet who abandons poetry becomes a scientist. Chronicle the course of body rot. Call it a responsible alternative to lust. Call it bloat when nose leaks froth. Abrupt loss is still abrupt. Thriving and a healthy bath of dread. Fucking you bi-weekly in the dry interstices. My groin, a garment gaping aimlessly, vacant jacket in the wind. Thought I heard your tongue inside of me. Thought I smelled you at the door. Scientifically, you are incapable of coming home. Can I blame decay for certain breaks, certain collisions? Your smell at the door when it is only wind. The smelling part of me so close to what remembers empty sleeve, skin snake and the spider's web. All good prey smells putrid by the seventh day. Nature's virtuous consistency. It grates, it cuts, it always comes. Like a poet, I find bliss in the abrasion. Like a scientist, I pave the split. Give me one good room without a doorway. You, repugnant in such nearness. Teach my body quivering, or take your body back. Give me more, and me, what am I doing in all that? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good luck with the rest of the night, darling. One moment. Now I'm going to assume that CC is who I'm introducing right now. And CC happens to be Cody Caetano. The last time we saw each other, darling, we were dancing our tits off together at my launch. I can't believe it's been that long. And so please join me in welcoming Cody Caetano.
Hello, can you all hear me? Okay, that's great, thank you. Thank you, Kirby, for inviting me and all of us together today. It's been a really hard year for a lot of people, for all sorts of complicated reasons, and this is actually the first reading I've been to on Zoom, or first one that I've been asked to do on Zoom, and I'm happy that it's at the end of the year, because I haven't really done much writing this year, just because it's been really hard. And just the readings today have been fantastic. Everybody who I haven't met or have met, I'm loving these, and this is really making my night and my week and my year. So thank you all. I did write one poem, which I'm going to read this year. I don't know if it's any good because it's the first time I share it with anyone, but it's called Shadowland Acknowledgement, and been doing a lot of thinking. I've been going on some walks around the city and just seeing some stuff that I wanted to think about. Shadowland Acknowledgement. Trembling before the pulpit is today's Gregorian, baiting the innocent into watching Little Miss Dominion terraform entire Gaias into images paintings that recount seismic gestures of brief colonies vying for pom-pom pageantry. And what this itty-bitty conquistador's trunk novel fails to describe is the space between the living and the dead that some of us would do anything to forget. A boundary crossed where creators' most innovative swarmsters decapitate the bricklayers of food pyramids, and phantom suspects rush elders healing from brain surgery on the corner of Bathurst and Queen, and the couriers delay the ambulance. And the checkout at the Suff Duff No Frills funnels in those short-tempered demonios who get by on low and brow and pre-cooked shish kebab, and the homemade mask dupes the Easy Bank Face ID and makes it impossible for the payee to magician debt into sundries again, since the new password is not in the iPhone notes. And this old boy threatens to cut my throat between rows of SUVs under a nosebleed red sunset, and unseated gatherings of not-so-secret Santas try gifting their way out of the newest normal. In the last Purina bag at the corner store fed and kept warm a horde of wriggling earthlings and the clerk breaks down because they see what this one refund could mean if placed in the hands of political lizards who keep busy clinking other very important and special old pails until it is time to debut nuanced proposals for absent constituents who catch protest FOMO because they have trouble breathing. These days, there is a space between cartography and Walcott's dilemma that slam pigs republics into red herrings and ugly ducklings risk sleuthing through inherited truths to find new ones. And John Tory says thanks when his server's assistant delivers his fried chicken and red jug hot sauce, and the most ethical settlers, showrunners, and oh so cozy tokens of the city and industry throw at their scripts and make good and concession on their proposals to keep blood pumping while those in windblown Colemans create heat across the street from Wonderlusters itching to try these new Maddie Matheson patties. And maybe one day they convert the Fairmont Royal York into a permanent residence for the thousand and counting who are outside right now as you're hearing this, and subsidize the TTC and create a place where clothing drives and rallies and coups are no longer needed and group hugs are no longer listed as super spreading events. And the networks of support can hit the snooze button. And after some time, all these Zoom meetings will get packed away in some cloud for the next generation of memesters to peruse. And maybe they will arrange our faces into mosaics resembling the space between the living and the dead that predates the quest for spice and perfume and interrupts the doom scroll to come. Thanks, Kerry.
Thanks so much, Cody. We have another surprise guest, a dear friend from the West Coast. Please welcome HASAN NAMIR.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Kirby, for having me, and so good to see some of my familiar faces and new faces. Wishing everyone happy holidays. I know it's been a tough year, and I hope that next year will be a better year for all. I'm going to be reading some poems, like a poem from my poetry book, War Torn. I don't think I've ever read this yet publicly. It's called Blow. Blow. Take off your pants and blow. Bang, bang, bang. I can taste your luty lips. I can hear my mother's cries. Let me hold your arms, Shad. And another says, my mother. I can exist in you, the other me. Can make them happy. Let me rub against you, but don't taste my sweet vomit. I can feel your rough scruff, but turn your face against us. Let me come to you in joy, the holy prophets of God. I can enjoy the milky white against the heathens. Let me go and forever remember God's JENNA. In God's JENNA, men shall be attended by boys, graced with eternal youth, the sons of sodomites. Take off your pants and blow. Bang, bang, bang. And I'll read one more called Depression. Thank you. We hid together in a dematerialized zone, the luti and khusra invisible to others. We stumbled on a hardball, smeared ourselves helpless. They stood across from us with their rifles in hand. They yelled, foreign, threatening the khusra, understood. They aimed their weapons, ready for another kind of war. Kill in the name that will make us both martyrs. My father was a soldier and had fought in the Gulf War. Bang, bang, bang. Together, the luti held the khusra's hand and mourned. We shared a memory of the Shad. I met him on his birthday. We were the same age. He told me to meet him in the bathroom. Bang, bang, bang. I walked inside and he kissed me. We sucked and fucked. I wanted to marry him. Bang, bang, bang. Thank you so much.
Thank you, HASAN. Thank you so much. This has been the year, for me and for many, the year of June Bat. Please welcome John Elizabeth STINTZI.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be here because I'm bad at self-promotion and because Kirby held up June Bat. I'm not going to be reading from June Bat. I'm going to be reading a poem from my next eventual book, which I've been working on for a decade and probably will be working on for another decade. But so if you like this poem, you can go read June Bat, but you're not going to find this poem in it. This poem is called Farm Boy. When I imagine dew, I do not imagine it during daybreak first, but in summer evenings when it would fall like rain to wet the hay you were baling as I drove your pickup through the field to bring you home. Then I imagine how that dew in new morning made invisible shapes visible, the funnel webs that spiders wove among the field's disbined stubble, clear as pain. How the dew made visible the gravity draining down nubile grass, making apparent the many ways in which I failed to be the useful farm boy you needed me to be. I was the dud of your three. You could easily have fished a better boy than me from a tub of pellets in the feed store in Emo. I wasn't suited for your life because my head would evaporate droplet by droplet into clouds while I worked, because of how I shook in horror when you asked me to help you do a cesarean on a breech birth cow, because of how I said I couldn't. And so you took big brother and little brother and mom too. And I just sat in the house alone, waiting for my whole family to come back, arms sleeved in blood. I'm neither the man you are nor the woman mom is. I'm the pith that keeps the flesh from reaching the rind, the matted hair left over when your hat is sleft. A farm boy, neither brave nor able to keep their mind on the task at hand because they know if they look at the life they're leading, they'll see themselves fail. Too feckless to be what your hard work needs. Dad, the true self is the transient creature who I am deep down, is who I've tried to keep from climbing behind the wheel and screwing up a field, who I've tried to keep from forgetting to oil bearings, tried to keep from opening my heart to speak things. Farm boy on me was as good as an inside joke and commodious as rust. It was dew, a weather that rolled onto me and then, not long after, rolled away again. An identity should cause more freedom than friction. Shouldn't be a thing you fear a judge could overturn. I can swing hammers. I know how to trick land into fertilizing itself. I can tell when a heifer is in heat and know how to use my voice to call a herd of steers to me. But I will always be terrified of the musculature of bulls, will always be too cloud-headed to be present, will always be too cowardly and squeamish to watch you cut a creature from another creature's side, or to put my hands inside a creature's chest to gut them. But, Dad, I'll always love the smell of sliced grass, of hot grease and the sound of 100 head of cattle running across Highway 621. What I'm trying to say is this. The window is open and I'm 1,000 miles away in another country and my nails are sky blue and a long old storm is coming. What I'm trying to say is I wish your life fit me. What I'm actually saying is that I carry it with me like a skull carries its spine. I still have every mistake, every tractor, every dirty egg I chucked into evergreens because I was too lazy to wash them, every calf fed late, every chainsaw near miss, every time you fired me and then every time you hired me back, every bull sprinted from and every lunch break in your pickup with the AC on, drinking the most refreshing fucking Coca-Cola while you stomped around to double check my work. What I'm saying is that I still have every acre of your fields in me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John Elizabeth. At the end of this month, in January, actually, on January 26th, we're going to have a Zoom event with a complete reading by Kerry Manders and Brandy Ryan of their incredible chapbook, After Pulse. I think it's perfectly suited for Zoom. I'm so excited about the project, and tonight they're here to read. Please welcome Brandy Ryan and Kerry Manders.
Thanks, Kirby. I'm just going to do a volume check. Is it good? Everyone
good.
can hear? Perfect. We're really thrilled to be reading tonight. This is our first reading this year too, because it's been a shit year in a lot of ways. We're super happy to be in a crowd of poets and queers near the end of the year. We're going to read two poems. The first we wrote together after Kerry's mom died this summer. And the second I wrote a while ago, but we finished together in the same period. And they're both in many ways about loss and dislocation.
The first one's called Burrow or Bury.
This is not a sunrise poem. Each morning we set and shut the alarm. Morning, like this cottage, is always further than we think.
It took a little over 3 hours to get here. In 3 days, it will be 3 months since Mom died.
When we arrive, the sky opens up. We tilt to take it in. The waters are high.
The flat, still lake is never flat or still. Wind whistles across bottle tops. Leap before you look, Auden wrote.
There are no turtles yet. We wait for hair to be long again, for hair to be blue again.
Since Mom died, no text that we arrived safely. Since Mom died, no stop at the Westport shop to buy fudge. Since Mom died, we brought her with us.
And then they come. 5 on the right, 1 on the left. When do turtles become bail, we wonder?
Mom's ashes in a little plastic container we packed in a wooden box for safekeeping. Container contained.
When time moves simultaneously fast and slow, when Scout hunts in the shallows wagging, when there's no firewood for sale.
Only here do we see that little wooden box as coffin. We laugh and laugh, knowing Mom would have laughed even harder.
The curious tension between moon and stars, bright light versus navigation, where you are versus where you're going.
The day drops like a dress pooling, the sound of small fish breaking surface, light leaping, submerged again.
The heart does not break once, but breaks presently, ongoing splinters across a frozen lake.
That time we thought too much about the earth as round, realizing that stars are beneath us too, treading on constellations, unmoored.
Are location and occasion the same thing? It pours the instant we set foot inside, as if turning the lock turns on the rain.
At the burrow, we notice a dock with a different view. Grief corkscrewed into earth, tented by air.
My Own Disaster, a fidelity encounter with Lisa Robertson and Virginie Bocard. I stand to face oils hardened by breath. We are both naked, its body stretched taut by wood older than its present vulnerability, mine worn by the shame of its latest plundering. Here, as I lean, it leans. A stroke of brush hesitates as it approaches my bare breast. I close my eyes to watch it and it me. In that moment, I climb into the drip somewhere running, refuses to be fixed under brush. On canvas, crucified wood runs in my skin. I lie in fidelity of its disaster with poets who paint. A uniform comes quickly over and taps me on the shoulder. You may not reach over the rope, miss, he says.
Breath hardened by body, a worn present stretches vulnerability here, plundering as a bare brush leans a dripped watch. My breast approach climbs in too close. Somewhere the canvas, crucified, shamed, refusing to hesitate. Wood runs into my skin to face fidelity, a lie fixed by disaster poets running their paint, and always the uniform comes, always the tap, a not reach, an overstood rope misses me, and always what it is to be oils lately softened, or are there other ways to hide?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you two so much. It's really lovely to be with you tonight. Thank you. This year, coming year actually, I'm already in 2021, darlings. I fuck the 20. In 2021, we have a whole bunch of wonderful things coming up, but one of the things I'm most excited about is we're publishing our second full-length collection by Travis Sharpe. Travis Sharpe wrote this amazing chapbook called Sinister Queer Agenda, which has stayed with me to my core. And it's been a delight to work with them and befriend them. And tonight, the book that we're publishing is called Yes, I Am a Corpse Flower. Please welcome Travis Sharpe.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Kirby. That was so nice and generous. Can everyone hear me all right? Yeah. I think these poems are read quietly. So if I get too quiet, Kirby, just like yell at me or something. That's fine. Interruption is fine. Okay. Actually, well, I said plural, but I'm just going to read one poem because I don't know how to write short poems, I don't think so. All right, so I'm going to read the title poem actually from the forthcoming book. Oh, yes, thank you, Jen. Yeah, I'm going to read the title poem from the forthcoming book. So it's Yes, I Am a Corpse Flower. After sitting us down, explaining myself, its rules and regulations, you don't understand. You sweat out an endless salt of questions. I arrange the salt on the fields, and in the famine you echo, this is the meat. This is your meat. I meatless and you meaty, and I meaty and you meatless, and if I was meant to be a plant, a divine oopsie daisy, would I instead secrete secrets and multicolored omnivectored roots that bend fashionably as if a wrist? My plant language seeping through soil, spreading gossip, the language of survival or salivation. The deer, the birds, the lonely men, speaking to all who can hear my roots, their subtle vibrations. A network of networked limbs. Limb me, a network of oopsie daisies we interpollinate perpetually. What does it mean to personify you? Body, a plant, dutifully watered. All that glitters is me, resonant. Reverberations are me, my shimmer, a shimmy me timbers in the bed. Hey man, do you want my me? Yes, I'm a corpse flower. Yes, I'm a rot in a bag. Yes, I'm my fembot ice queer, heart of nunstone, hard of hearting. My arousal is circuitry. My emotions, circuitry. My nerves, circuitry. My me is my wire stem thrumming. My well-oiled gape brings all the ravenous insects to the greenhouse, their beards untrimmed, their cocks swinging. One asks if he can wax my chassis. He chuckles, looks around. I say, yes. I say, yes, please. I say, please. He waxes my chassis. He wanes my rest. Always so marginal, refusing to take space and unable to center itself, not sure how to say in terms I'll understand. I can't recall if language can cross the blood-brain barrier. I mean, the tongue doesn't bend that way. I mean, is there an intervention for this? I mean, is I the corpse flower or is the corpse flower me? Thanks.
Thank you, Travis. One of the delights of the last few years, actually, has been introduced to the amazing work of Joshua ESCOBAR. Actually, the first thing I saw of Joshua's was this beautiful little wind chime that was hanging in Wa's living room. And I said, who did this marvelous piece? And then Wah, of course, smiled. Joshua. He's also known as DJ Ashtray. Their debut, Bareback Nightfall, and I understand pinatas are queer. Please welcome Joshua Escobar.
Thanks for having me, Kirby, and for everyone for tuning in. This has been a horrible year. So I'm just gonna read a few poems from it and then continue listening and celebrating with you. All right. This one's called Bjork Photographs, Laughing Wishes. On visits home, I see gifts ripped open and the confetti. I guess I should start by saying I suck social spillways. I might have better luck with a thermometer, uppercutting, riding in a harness. As long as I have something in my stomach, I'm okay. In Aspen, you never know if they are faded or licking. Sometimes you see signs, sweet for the less contagious, pressureless talk, the less grown lecherous, the less numb shoulders, the less digits, the less pleasing, fever. On defense, my bleached hair is combed up, underwhelming, makes for melodramatic, Instagramming. Flash gets in my ride with the 22, which is not that strong. He is so high that he probably saves money on groceries. He could have me for life since daylight's left my sight open. Disfunct. I don't need to say what I ain't. I destroyed the competition. Alpha males, hot chicks, people kill themselves, making things a little bit better. Our craziness is uniform, but our zipper is no. This is someone else's pre-cum. Fierce arms, porn of wine. Good for nothing secrets, straight up vodka talk with sugarcane mojitos. Peacocking Kat Von D treasure, because love is routine and for losers. The love of my life already knows me. You can tell by his zipper, but I am too hot to be frightening. It's hustling or working at AZT, shoveling torture skin stucco in double sleeves in full sun, while illegit guys on scaffolds at killer heights earn half as much as me. The throat of the chicken coop is popping with flies and semis breaking in the rain. The caterwaul is actually bougainvillea. Scratched hula hoop, we know why. Feeding yourself is not easy in San Bernardino, California. I sleep in a warehouse so turned up and dark in the center, it doesn't even cross my mind. Spinning down naked is the best thing I've ever done. So I just want to thank Kirby for supporting me all those years. It's actually been, I mean, just your support has meant the world to me. I don't know if you know that. And my boyfriend is reading your book, This Is How I Get Off. And he loves it. And, you know, we love it. And I can't wait to talk about it with him. And then one little poem. It comes at the very end. It's called Love Sex. A blue and black feather clings to us, no matter how many times we throw it. I'll start over. A blue and black feather clings to us, no matter how many times we throw it. This shed is gay, but not sex-proof. Sunlight I can't get used to. Frozen bee, slick back my antenna. Dense plus intense. The nets in my head stick to the gum I feel in my heart. Gays treat each other's bodies with destructive joys, laundered highs, hot brokenness, flavored pain. We don't have dirty minds, but dirty hearts. I used to split up the discards, shivering at night. Moth-eaten tongues, feeling each other's way. So that's my debut. It's available in Canada through Knife Fork Book. Thanks for all the support, again, Kirby, over the years. You know, there's not a lot of places for queer poets and far fewer places for people of color. So it means a lot. Thank you.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Joshua's book is so much fun. It really got me through my summer, to be honest. And yes, we do have copies, and yes, it's on. There's still a Boxing Day sale. It's on right now. So please, and you know what? Josh was kind enough to. Will also include these wonderful queer pinata stickers with the book. So, darlings, we're winding down a little bit. I have a piece I would love to share. For the first time, I'll be reading from my new book coming out, Poetry is Queer, which comes out on Palimpsest in this coming fall. Very excited, and I'm thrilled to be able to share a piece from it tonight. The working title of this piece is called Dazzle. Naked in a warehouse space with at least 46 men, celebrating the body erotic, we are led through a number of rituals, extending the menu of intimacies shared beyond your basic suck and fuck. Seated across from another, we're directed to re-experience first touch, given permission to fondle, play, explore each other's genitals as though for the first time, with a sense of wonderment, as opposed to just getting through something. This allowance for innocence, discovery, not knowing and finding out, not being wronged, but just being boys who touched each other. There. The removal of guilt was watershed. Funny. Once the expectation of knowing what to do or what you think is expected of you is removed, a freeing and an intention, also a connection, a care. I know, I tend to imbue others with what I myself bring. Toronto artist Robert Flack had the most dazzling eyes and smile and laugh. What a wonderful boy to be my first. We stayed in touch, met regularly for tea, coffee, shared thoughts. His was more transcendent, spiritual than myself, who wants to be no more than flesh and blood this life. Largely because he was preparing for the real unknown, his death. Rob's solo show, Empowerment, opened at the Garnet on Richmond, early 90s. Wall-sized photographs of bodies bathed in swirling symbols, colors, light, portals, chakras, vibratory anatomical gardens, circulatory systems, radiance. At his funeral, I read from David Wojnarowicz's Close to the Knives. I often heard the very same questioning from Rob. Why does this one die and that one not? What does this all mean? How do I map all this down? I respect just about every attempt at survival I witness these days. But every person will eventually lose his struggle, just as I will one day. And that makes each attempt more filled with life. That means sadness at the loss, but more sweetness in the attempts. That means maybe fewer hours on the face of this disorderly planet, but less shit I have to deal with. And anyway, here I am in the back seat of this taxi cab waiting for the light to turn green so I can arrive at my home because I feel too sick to walk or wait for a bus. And isn't it lovely? This pattern of sunlight drifting through the side window across the back of my hand, laying at rest on my thigh. Isn't it beautiful? The fact that I can see this light. Darlings, we are so blessed with each other's company. I am grateful for all who responded in kind tonight to join. I hold you dear May we all enter a glorious new year. Thank you, everybody. Much love. We'll see you in the new year, okay? Thanks again. Much love. Be well.